welcome to episode 16 of Halloween Babies Podcast. I am your host, Billy D, coming at you from Richmond, Virginia. And this is a bit of an impromptu episode. I just happened to see two films recently that I absolutely loved. One will be familiar to all you horror heads in the know. I'm talking about Cuckoo from 2024 that is currently in theaters. And I saw this on opening night, but before I left for the theater, I was hanging out at home, just scrolling around Shudder, and came across the director's first film, LUZ. And I watched that, and it blew my mind and got me all the more excited to see Cuckoo. So both of these films are written and directed by a German filmmaker named Tilman Singer, who was born in 1988. And as an angry, rebellious art student, Tilman didn't care for classic narrative structures. He felt contemporary cinema had lost its touch with the ability to transcend. And that brings us to his first feature film released in 2019, LUZ. Filmed for around $130,000 and shot on 16mm, LUZ is an experimental, mostly single-location horror mystery thriller that drips with style, atmosphere, imagination, and ingenuity. With a cast of 6 actors, we follow Luz, played by Luana Velis, a cab driver who enters a police station after a strange encounter and is hypnotized by Dr. Rossini, played by Jan Bluthart, in order to try and decipher what had transpired earlier that evening. The story is told through long, tense, and brooding shots that utilize the sound design as a way of expanding the location beyond a few rooms and hallways, creating a landscape out of a conference room and a car ride out of a few chairs and a cleverly placed rearview mirror. At the heart of the film lies a simple and familiar subgenre of horror that, thanks to Tilman's vision, eschews those typical tropes and aesthetics and delivers something fresh and unique. All the performances are excellent, the effects are subtle but effective, and the runtime is only 70 minutes. The foundation of the film started in Tilman's mind as an interrogation situation involving hypnosis and a reenactment that we as the audience only hear and have to imagine what is going on. That set up the structure for the film. Then, when Tilman set out to create the character at the heart of the interrogation, he turned to stories his Colombian wife had told him about attending a Catholic school for girls and how she pretended to be devout in order to gain favor and be treated better by the teachers. As he joked with his wife about how the devil had seen this and she was going to hell, he came up with the crux of LUZ. While it may not be what most horror fans consider a fun ride, LUZ does exactly what Tilman set out to do and transcends typical narrative structures and allows for an immersive experience if you are willing to put forth the effort and let the film wash over you. I'm giving LUZ a 9 out of 10.
police investigator, Henry Lando. I'd like to ask you a few questions about the incident. I need you to help me find that woman.
What was your first day, my dear?
Not good.
The closer you come to where we are now, the amount of people that have encountered the woman increases.
When are we gonna see some action? Why did you bring us here?
You are here because your family belongs here.
That's a fucking weird way to put it.
Oh, it feels so good.
I need you to come to me now, my angel.
Watch out! What did she want from me?
If I were you, I wouldn't want to get hurt even more.
After reluctantly moving to the German Alps with her father and his new family, Gretchen discovers that their town hides sinister secrets as she's plagued by strange noises and frightening visions of a woman pursuing her, with the tagline, "Fear its call." Taking inspiration from a documentary on the cuckoo bird, Tilman Singer has delivered a more coherent second feature film that is more palatable but still basks in its weird originality, combining aspects of psychological thriller, mystery, sci-fi, coming-of-age body horror that manages to fly right past the overused trauma themes of the past decade. Hunter Schafer, in her first film role as the lead protagonist Gretchen, absolutely kills it as the angst-ridden teen forced to fend for herself as she is thrown out of her element and beaten, bruised, and broken as if she were a little bird who flew into a pane of glass chasing its own reflection. She's one of the few characters the audience can identify with because everyone else ranges between slightly off-kilter to batshit crazy. Dan Stevens, using his best German accent and playing the flute like the Pied Piper, is a charismatic mad scientist whose actions hint at the ideology of manifesting and preserving a master race while also controlling the autonomy of a mother's right to choose. But none of that subtext comes across as heavy-handed because the plot is just downright cuckoo. The sound design is excellent and the cinematography goes into Lynchian territory with a bit of Cronenberg and De Palma thrown in for good measure. Tilman not only enlists his cinematographer Paul Fultz and his composer Simon Vaskow from LUZ, but also Jan Blutherhart as Henry, the detective who helps Gretchen along her journey. Shot on 35mm film, the camera was so large and heavy, it lent to dictating a lot of grounded, slow camera movements. Tilman had his cinematographer use wide lenses, specifically telephoto lenses, to create the illusions of the viewer being there, in the mountains, at the resort, and surrounded by the screeching from the trees. I've seen Cuckoo twice now, and I can say without a doubt, it's one of the most interesting and original films to come out this year. Tilman Singer has a unique vision and a playfulness to his work that shows he doesn't take himself too seriously. Whether or not he decides to stay within the horror genre, whatever he comes up with next is bound to be interesting. I give Cuckoo a 9 out of 10 stars. And that brings episode 16 of Halloween Babies podcast to a close. I am your host, Billy D, coming at you from Richmond, Virginia. And as usual, stay safe and stay scared.